Okay, I'm going to move quickly through this one. This stop talking about yourself presentation really is about improving your writing just by getting rid of the first person pronoun. That's it. So let's make sure we all know what the first person pronoun is. That is when we use I, me, my, we, or us in a paper. And I call these things the I bombs. It's essentially when you talk about yourself. So what's the problem with talking about yourself? Well, it's a pretty simple and straightforward problem. It's that it makes the focus of your writing you instead of the real subject, which is whatever you're studying in the class. Now, in my class, we'll be studying literature, so that should be the focus of your writing because we're trying to get beyond ourselves here. We're looking at the world through a much broader lens, and we understand that we are not the center of the world. So we want to take emphasis off ourselves and put it more on whatever it is that we're talking about in the class, whatever class that may be. So how do you fix this? Well, now that you know that first person is I, me, and my, we, and us, the I bombs, well, you can fix it really easily by just getting rid of that I bomb, and usually there's like a verb attached to it somewhere. Let's take a look. Here's a bad example. I think Sammy from John Updike's A&P is still figuring out his worldview regarding women. That could be a lot better. Let's take a look at how to make it a lot better with barely any work at all. Sammy from John Updike's A&P is still figuring out his worldview regarding women. So if you don't see the difference, let me show it to you with some underlining. Here, the first example. Notice, immediately the writer starts talking about him or herself. But this paper is not about the writer. This paper is about Sammy, a character from a story we're studying in the class. So we want to get rid of, just take the writer out of it. Done. And then we get to focus on what this paper really is about. And this paper really is about Sammy. So we get right to the point. What is Sammy doing? Well, he's still figuring something out. But at least we jump right into Sammy, a character from John Updike's A&P, instead of having to read about the writer, which is not part of the assignment. So this second one is a much stronger claim because it gets right down to business. Let's take a look at another one in case that one didn't resonate with you. So remember, we are not the point of the assignments. Instead, the literature is. So this first example, it seems to me that Sammy is more of a creep than a hero. Let's take you out of it, and instead, let's make this more about Sammy. So we do that simply by getting rid of the it seems to me, and we get Sammy is more of a creep than a hero. All right, now we're getting right down to business. We know that this sentence is about Sammy. It is not about me. It's not about the writer. Yeah. Here. Is it ever okay to use the first person? Well, yeah, you're going to have plenty of assignments in all kinds of classes where you can use the first person. And you might have written a narrative in Composition 1. You might have be doing some kind of a first person report or some testimony or a lab report or something like that. All of that's fine. You can use first person in any one of those examples, definitely. The reason we're outlawing it in this class is because it's a college-wide stated objective for ENC 1102 to help students use the third person. That's it. It's not my rule. I have no real preference. It's just that the college has this stated objective for the course. So that means if we're going to focus on third person voice, it means no more first person, I, me, and my. No more second person, you, your, yourself, and I have another video to help with that one. The third person is whatever your subject matter is. That's what you focus on. No longer focus on I, me, my. No longer focus on you, your, yourself. So here's one caveat I'll give you. I'm actually flexible enough that I can take a we, one. I can accept one we in a paper. As long as that we is used to represent some kind of a big, universal, societal group held idea or abstraction. One time per paper. Here's an example of a sentence I got where this was okay with me. So a student once wrote this. When judging Sammy's actions, we need to keep in mind that his worldview is one of the 1960s, not the 2020s. Accordingly, he should not be held by today's standards. So notice the student said we, but the student's not really talking about himself. The student was talking more about society as a whole that exists in the year 2020 really shouldn't hold Sammy to the same standards that we hold each other because He's from a different time period. That's all. So it's this big, broad, universal, abstract idea that society needs to reconsider the way it judges people. That's all. So this was totally acceptable by my standards. And again, the student only wrote it one time in the paper, so I had no problem with it. There you go. Here's a picture of my dog, but this is not about my dog. This is about your writing. So anyway, that's it. If you have any questions about getting rid of or getting yourself out of your writing, shoot me an email, and I'll be glad to help.